The new show for moms everywhere. Each week we're going to bring you insight and advice from some of the nation's top mother bloggers all around the country. We're going to talk about the things that we like to write about, which are our lives, our families, our jobs, and of course our kids. I'm Stacy Dymalski, coming to you from Park City, Utah, and I write a blog called From Nonsense to Mom's Sense of Humor, How My Life as a Stand-Up Comic Prepared Me for Motherhood. And you can find it on nonsensetomomsense.com. We hope you enjoyed this show as we explore deeper subjects and all the things that we blog about. Topics that are informative, fun, poignant, but most of all funny. We're really going for funny here. Let me introduce you to the other mother bloggers who are blogging live from all over the country. First off, let's say hello to Amanda Rodriguez, Parenting by Dummies. She comes from Washington, D.C. Say hi, Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm from the D.C. area, and I am a dude mom to 3 boys and a baby dog daughter.
Great, thanks, Amanda. And now, let's say hi to Jennie Marshall. And bear with me while I say her blog name slowly. I want to make sure I get it right. The name of her blog is nuckingbutsmama.com. Hey, Jennie.
Hi, my name's Jennie Marshall, and I am a mother to 9-year-old boy-girl twins in Chicago.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, Jennie. All right, and next from Connecticut, we have Susie Johnson, also known as Not Your Average Mom. Say hi, Susie.
I'm Susie Johnson, and my blog is called NotYourAverageMom.com, and I live in Connecticut with 7 kids who range from 1-year-old to 15 years old.
Great! Well, we're so happy to have you. And last but certainly not least, coming from Los Angeles, we have Heidi Ferrer with GirlToMom.com. Take a bow online here, Heidi.
Hi ladies, I'm Heidi Ferrer from GirlToMom.com, coming to you from Los Angeles, California, where I live with my husband, Nick, and my little boy, Bexon, who's 5 years old.
Well, thanks, Heidi, and thanks all you ladies for joining us. So let's just jump into Mother Bloggers. This is our very first episode, and so our first topic is Meet the Mother Bloggers, because we really want you to get to know us. Let's just do more than say hi. We're going to do a little better and talk a little bit about ourselves. I'm going to start. My name, as I said before, is Stacy Dymalski, and my blog is called From Nonsense to Mom's Sense of Humor, How My Life as a Stand-Up Comic Prepared Me for Motherhood. Obviously, from that title, I used to be a stand-up comic until I had some kids, and that kind of put a big monkey wrench in the whole thing. I tried to continue that first year that my oldest son was born to keep that late-night schedule going, but as all parents know, once you have children, you are no longer the boss. My kids are now 17 and 19, and when the 17-year-old was about a year old, I gave up stand-up comedy to become a full-time mom. And let me tell you, kids are bigger hecklers than anything you will ever find in a stand-up comedy club. So that's my story. I like to blog about their lives, and believe me, by the time they leave home, they're going to know what the meaning of irony is. So that's my story. Let's hear from the other mother bloggers as well and find out what makes them tick. Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a mom to 3 young sons, ages 4, 7, and 11. And I started Parenting by Dummies because, I don't know, I kind of just felt like every single day I was being outsmarted by my children. And I thought that it was a great way to connect with other moms who are sort of feeling the same way, because I think we all have had those days where we feel like the least smartest person in our house. So that's what Parenting by Dummies is about. It's so dumb, it's funny. It's just a whole bunch of stories about life in a house filled with dudes. stories about them peeing on the floor,
Oh, boy.
embarrassing me in public.
Been there, done that.
And all kinds of other just really fun things. Lots of photos and a really good look at what being a dude mom is about.
Thanks, Amanda. Next on our list is Jennie. Jennie, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Stacy. Before kids, I used to be a 7th grade, 8th grade teacher. And because I've always loved writing, I thought maybe once I had kids and became a stay-at-home mom, I would try to challenge my brain to come up with some of those words that I used to teach my students way back when. And so I started blogging just to kind of practice my writing skills again. And plus, I have all kinds of crazy stories that my kids present to me on a daily basis. And my blog, Nucking Futz Mama, is about everything from trying to survive carpool without driving into a ditch.
I hate that when that happens.
To my dog taking a chunk out of my daughter's guinea pig's behind. So it just is a collection of funny stories about my daily life and trying to raise twins and keep my sanity at the same time. It's a Nucking Futz world.
Well, I have to say your blog is appropriately titled then. And boy, if you were a middle school teacher, I think you were more qualified than anybody to become a parent before you had kids. So kudos to you. All right, next on our list is Susie. Susie, tell us what makes you tick.
Hi, my name is Susie, and I've got 7 kids.
Did you say 7 kids?
Yep. But Jennie can have some of mine if she wants them.
No.
The older 2 are technically my stepsons, but they're all my kids, and I take care and love all of them equally the same. I've got 4 boys and 3 girls. We have one in high school, one in middle school, one in the upper elementary school, one in the lower elementary school, one in preschool, and 2 at home.
Wow.
So I started blogging because, like the rest of us, I have lots of material and lots of stories about the things kids do that make you laugh or make you cry or drive you crazy. And
I'm with you.
Writing the blog is one way to document it and to try to maintain my sanity.
So Susie, with 7 kids, where do you find the time to blog? I mean, do you lock yourself in the bathroom, or do you, go up in the attic, or what do you do?
I wake up really early. My alarm goes off at 4, and I write my blog from 4:30 to 5:30, and then at 5:30 I start making lunches. The high schooler gets on the bus at 6:40, and the preschooler gets dropped off at preschool at 9. So it's a pretty long morning process. So I do it in the morning before everybody wakes up.
Oh my gosh, that is quite a schedule. Okay, you win the Busy Mom Prize for sure. All right, and the last one on our list, but as I said before, certainly not least, coming to us from Los Angeles, we have Heidi. Heidi, let us know what goes on in your life.
Hi, Stacy. As we said, my blog is girltomom.com, and the subtitle is Trying to Become a Grown-Up Before My Kid Does. So I think all of us as parents sometimes never feel completely grown up or that we're qualified to be the adults.
Yep.
But we have to, put those hats on and make it happen somehow. My blog began, my background is as a screenwriter and a TV writer here in LA. And I started my blog when my son was diagnosed with progressive infantile scoliosis, which is a potentially fatal form of scoliosis in babies and young children.
Wow.
And long story short, I started blogging about that to help other families with the same condition. And my son had 10 body casts from the age of 19 months to 4 years old.
Wow.
And now he's 5, and he's almost cured. He's a miracle. Basically, the entire story is a miracle, and you can read about his story on my blog. And I'm currently finishing a novel about his medical journey that I'm about to self-publish called Crooked Love. And also, my blog is now mostly humor, life, motherhood, and all of the comedy that comes along with that. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely not a Debbie Downer blog. It's a lot of fun. I love it.
Great. Well, thanks, Heidi. And don't you find that you're, obviously you're a author, you're a TV writer, you're a storyteller. Don't you find that once you had a kid, there was all of a sudden there was this whole new cornucopia of storytelling and comedy that opened up to you that didn't exist before?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm writing stories about him, every week, things he says, the hilarious things that children say. For example, and this is slightly embarrassing, but he recently told me, "Mommy, your belly is so fat. You have the fattest belly." And I burst into tears, like so pathetic. And I had to explain to him that people don't like to be called fat, So it was a teachable moment, but I had to learn about, my own humanity in relation to my kid. They can hurt our feelings too. So it's all about becoming a grown-up for me, working on that.
Well, we are looking forward to going on that journey right here with you on Mother Bloggers. So that is our group of Mother Bloggers. Thank you, ladies. I'm sure we'll all get to know each other a lot better as time goes on and as this show progresses. So now let's move on to our next topic, something that I like to blog about from time to time, and that is kid home safety. There are so many ways your kids could injure themselves in your home. It's up to you to make your house completely safe, if that's even possible. I like to start with educating my kids, telling them, yes, please don't take a knife out and wheel it around. Don't run around and chase your brother with a fork. Teaching them how safety and what is dangerous, I think, is really up to the parent. So in order to kind of let you know how I approach the whole topic of safety in your home, kid safety, here's my vlog for the week. Kitchen safety. Teaching your kids how to be safe in the kitchen so that they learn to cook and they learn to respect.
Could I use a knife?
No! A knife? What do you want a knife for? Can't you see I'm working? I have told you so many times not to interrupt me when I'm working. Just go away and come back when I'm done. Anyway, as I was saying, I wanted to become the loving and attentive mother that I knew I could always be. So I decided to give up the comedy circuit and teach things like, as I was saying, kitchen safety. I think there is nothing more important than a young boy growing up to learn how to cook and be safe in the kitchen, doing all the things that normally are for women, learning safety with all the kitchen utensils and not doing something stupid with them as other young boys would do who haven't been trained properly. So I might talk about how to teach a young boy how to cook, how I did that with my two sons who are just gems. They always do what they're told. They never are disrespectful with any kind of tools or utensils. I always know that it's going to be safe with them. I am working. How many times do I have to tell you? You need to go in the other room. I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, it's causing too much noise. Anyway, my kids are so awesome. It's like, at this point, them being in high school, I don't even have to worry. I don't have to do anything. I'm never going to have to worry about one of them going out and waving around a gun or a knife at somebody and then having to deal with police when they come over. And I'm telling you, it's all because when they're little, you have to make sure that they are going to be respectful to you and that they would talk to you at any time and never do anything sneaky. Well, as you can see, my son loves to juggle. He started out with just little hacky sacks, and now he got those machetes for Christmas. And yes, he does. Those are real knives that he was juggling over my head. So I didn't know that till after the fact, and I watched the video. Otherwise, I would have had something to say about it. That actually should have been what we recorded, is the conversation I had with him after I saw that video. All right, so how about the rest of you? What kind of safety do you try to teach your kids at home? What sort of techniques and life lessons do you like passing on to your kids in terms of kid home safety? Amanda, what about you? What nuggets of information have you got to enlighten us about kid home safety?
I think at our house, it's about teaching the boys how to deal with pain.
Yeah.
Because I cannot even count on one hand the number of times somebody in this house is injured, something's broken, bleeding, oozing, aching, something. I feel like if I had a bubble, they would burst it. I couldn't even put them inside of a bubble because they're just the dynamics of having three exuberant guys interacting with each other is just, I don't know. They have a high pain tolerance, and I have done a lot myself to deal with like stressful situations, because when my first son came along and he would get hurt, my initial reaction was like, to comfort him and get a Band-Aid and all that. And now it's more like, if something's not bleeding, probably I don't need to know about it. But we do a lot. I think one of the main things that I am working on teaching my boys is more about like being aware of their surroundings when they're outside, like worrying about crossing the street or interacting with strangers or things like that, because the amount of swords and lightsabers and flying objects we have is just, it's pretty intense. So
it's funny with boys, you could try to teach them about safety of never touch a gun if you encounter one, and don't pick up a knife and all that kind of stuff. But I swear, you put a banana in a little boy's hand, and what is the first thing he does with that? He turns it into a gun.
Oh, right. Exactly. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And even we take those things away and they just use their fingers, right? So. Right.
Exactly. I know. Sometimes it's just easier to give into that. Hence the knives at my house. Jennie.
Yes.
How about you? What do you do to keep the kids from killing themselves at your house?
Well, I've tried many different ways of explaining to them the dangers that can lie around the house. And the one thing that I've learned is that silence means that something bad is going down. If my kids are quiet, then I know that means that they're probably into something that they're not supposed to be. And it's mostly with my son versus my daughter. And in fact, one time my son had a little friend over, and they had been outside for a long time, and I hadn't seen or heard from them. And I thought, probably should go and see just what they're into. And thank God I did, because my son and his friend had miraculously dragged the 10-foot ladder off of the wall in the garage. They set up the 10-foot ladder and were inspecting the electric garage door opener to see how it worked. Both of them on the very top step of the ladder. And I about died when I saw that they both had their hands in the electric garage door opener trying to discover exactly what made it work.
Unbelievable.
That was when they were, I think, in second grade. And so we then had to explain the dangers of the ladder. I mean, it's things that you don't even think about until they actually get into them, that you realize, oh crap, I guess that is a danger too. Why would I ever think that my second grader would get into a 10-foot ladder? So I kind of, I guess, live and learn as I go exactly what kinds of things they're going to be drawn to.
Right.
And could be potential dangers. But if it is a danger, I guarantee my kids are going to find it, unfortunately.
All right. So next, we're going to talk to Susie and see if she can top Jennie's ladder story. So Susie, what's going on? What mayhem is going on at your house?
There's always mayhem at my house.
With 7 kids, I bet.
I think it's impossible to kid-proof a house. No matter if you have 1 kid or 7 kids, unless you remove everything from your house or you remove all the kids from your house, something's going to happen and they're going to find something.
Yeah.
My 2- and 3-year-old right now are the major troublemakers, and a couple weeks ago they emptied most of the ashes in my fireplace into my living room and made a sandbox on the floor. So luckily there was no fire in the fireplace at the time. I have to keep finding higher and higher places to put things so they can't reach them. And I have to put chairs on top of my refrigerator because they'll drag chairs out of other rooms so that they can get from the floor to the chair to a high shelf. It's getting difficult to keep things out of reach. And just like Jennie said, when they're being quiet and you could take 5 more minutes to get something done, don't do it, because that's when the disaster strikes, when you take those 5 extra quiet minutes. If you're going to have kids, you're going to have bumps and bruises, and I tell them unless they're bleeding or on fire, that everything's okay.
You know, that's the thing. When I became a parent, nobody ever told you how much blood there was involved.
I think that kids need to wear a suit of armor.
I think a suit of armor would be nice. So yeah, I agree. I'm not sure if there is a way, unless you put them in a bubble or a suit of armor, I'm not sure there is a way to prevent them, to completely safeguard your home and your kid. I think those are probably some of the life lessons they got to learn, is to go out and get banged around a little bit. All right, Heidi, what's going on out there in gorgeous Los Angeles? How do you prevent your child from getting hurt, if that's even possible?
Well, I think we all have experienced, there's all the baby proofing. You have to make your house like Fort Knox. You have to put locks on the toilet so they don't drown themselves in the toilet. You have to put those knobs on the door so they can't walk out the front door. And one of our worst experiences with my son was you have to be really careful to keep the glassware and dangerous breakable things away from the edge of the counter in the kitchen. And once we had a red wine glass, and they're constantly growing and being able to reach new things, right? So he finally was able to reach the stem of the red wine glass, and I was out of the room. And when I walked back in, and my son was about 3 years old, he was holding the stem of this giant goblet, and he had broken the glass itself, and the shard was sticking straight up and in his mouth.
Oh boy.
With a drop of blood coming out of his little baby lip while he looked at me.
Ouch.
And I walked in the room to this scene, and I screamed, "Don't move!" And thank God he didn't jerk his head and have the glass go up into his face. But the only injury was that little drop of blood. I took the glass from his hand, like an insane person, and he was fine.
Unbelievable.
Another incident, my son loved to climb trees, and he's out of the body cast now, but when he was still in the body cast, his legs were free. So he'd be in this heavy cast, and he would climb trees in our backyard so fast that he would suddenly be out of my sight for 3 minutes. And this 3-year-old child would be 10 feet up in the tree. And I always had this terror that he would fall and catch his neck in a branch, because obviously that could be extremely dangerous. So it never happened. And then finally one day I got a little bit lax, and I was inside the house for 3 minutes folding laundry. And I looked out the window, and my son literally swung from a tree branch, fell with his neck exactly in the crook of a tree, being choked, just like I had feared.
Wow.
And I freaked out, and I ran outside, and I dislodged him, and he was fine. So your worst fears can come true, but they don't actually have to cause real injury. Thank God. So it's pretty scary, the whole thing. It's scary being a parent.
I think I can safely say, and I would think that you might agree, that parenting is not for wimps. If you had a weak constitution before you had kids, after you have them, you're either going to go nuts or you're going to toughen up really quickly. Except if you were a 7th grade teacher before, and then in that case, you're pretty tough to begin with. Okay, we're out of time for this episode, but I'd like to thank all of you joining us on Mother Bloggers. We really appreciate you tuning in, and we hope that you come back and see us on a regular basis, because we're just dying to get to know you and you get to know us. You can stay up to date on new episodes by following us on Twitter at twitter.com/motherbloggers. I'm Stacy Dymalski.
I'm Amanda from Parenting by Dummies.
I'm Susie from NotYourAverageMom.com.
I'm Jennie for KnockingFutsMama.com.
I'm Heidi Ferrer, GirlToMom.com.
And we are the Mother Bloggers. Hey moms, stay up to date with us on Twitter at Mother Bloggers and at Facebook.com/MotherBloggers. If you're a mom blogger and you would like to be a guest in this show, go to firstrun.tv/MotherBloggers. And if you're a blogger, please blog about Mother Bloggers Show and help us spread the word.